Hey guys, I want to talk a little bit more about Eldritch Horror, but I also want to bring up Arkham Horror, which is the predecessor to Eldritch. It's actually the first big box game I ever bought, and it's one of the things that got me into board gaming as a hobby. I played it a ton back in the day, and I have a lot of fond memories of it. But honestly, now that I have Eldritch, I don't see myself ever going back. Here's 5 reasons why. Now, while I didn't hate how long Arkham was, there were plenty of times when I was playing it where it would just kind of drag on, and then you would just lose at the very end. But you knew you were going to lose, so you're kind of just wasting time until you get to that, and that's not great. Now, Eldritch, on the other hand, packs the same kind of punch in a much more accessible dose. I mean, you might still lose, probably still going to lose, but you don't feel like you wasted an entire evening doing it. And if you do lose, you might even have enough time to give it another go. Despite being shorter, the game's world is considerably bigger. And when you consider the civilization-ending nature of your adversary, it makes sense that it would require a little bit of globetrotting to combat it. I mean, you wouldn't really expect Cthulhu to just stick around if the plucky group of investigators that are fighting him are stuck in Massachusetts. This is a little tricky because it's a classic example of a game's theme getting in the way of its mechanics. Arkham and Eldritch Horror are both based on the works of H.P. Lovecraft, which I absolutely recommend if you like classic sci-fi. But one of the themes of Lovecraft's work is that the unknown is dangerous and can kill you without even trying. And in Arkham Horror, that's actually very well represented. I mean, you can get crippled, detained, or even killed just by a stroke of bad luck. Unfortunately, that doesn't necessarily translate to a good time in a board game. Now, to be fair, Eldritch has this too, absolutely, but it doesn't happen anywhere near as frequently as it did in Arkham. And so because of that, it doesn't feel so unfair when it does occur. And besides, Eldritch has its own way of keeping you on your toes, which is number 4. This might be one of my favorite mechanics in the game. In Eldritch Horror, whenever you cast a spell or whenever the Reckoning triggers one of your conditions, you have to deal with consequences that until then were a complete mystery to you. And the reason they're a mystery is because different versions of the same card have different effects. Like if you have a bank loan, you might end up with a slap on the wrist, or you might find yourself with a brand new Dark Pact. Likewise, if you cast a spell, you might find that the costs outweigh the benefits, but you won't know until you try. And this is brilliant because once you realize that, you'll start being afraid to cast your spells, even though you'll need to sometimes. You'll have to make the decision of whether to stop whatever it is you were doing or trying to do in order to try and cast off all these conditions that have been piling up. Or maybe just let them pile up, knowing that if they catch up with you, it might mean the end. Now, this is a perfect representation of the theme while still allowing your choices to matter, and that agency is a very important thing in board games. While there are only 4 in the base game, the ancient ones you face in Eldritch Horror flavor the game a lot better than they did in Arkham. See, whereas before, Cthulhu or Nyarlathotep or whatever incomprehensible mass of consonants you were facing that day only ever really felt like a villain invading a city, in Eldritch Horror, the gods really shape the story that you experience. I mean, the addition of god-specific research encounters alone helps shape the world, but it's the mysteries that really make the difference for me. Because in Arkham Horror, in order to win, all you ever had to do was seal 6 portals, no matter who you were facing. But in Eldritch Horror, you have to solve mysteries that pertain to the specific ancient one you're fighting. Now, not only does that fit into the narrative really well, it also allows for more variety between plays, which is why Eldritch Horror comes off the shelves a lot more than Arkham ever did for me. So there you go, those are my top 5 reasons why Eldritch Horror is better than Arkham Horror. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of my points, or if you have any top reasons of your own. And if you love Arkham Horror, don't worry, I'll be giving it its fair shake in my next video. Until then, like the video, subscribe, follow, comment, obey.